welcome back to the Football Rundown. We're here today to talk about Stockport County once again, but obviously back into club football now. But just before we get into that, obviously I think I will be doing a video on it over the next few days. England, of course, Euro 2024 final defeat, absolutely gutted about it. Of course, Gareth Southgate has now stepped down as well. I want to get people's thoughts on that, but as I said, we'll be doing a video on that over the next few days. I'm pretty sure I've got some strong views on that, and I think that Southgate has been slightly disrespected, to be honest, from a lot of people, and I think he probably deserves a few apologies, and I think he deserves a little bit of praise for the job he's done, but more on that in for another time, for another video really. But today we're going to be talking about Stockport County. Obviously we know they've gone to Pinatar. They are doing their pre-season training at the moment. We know that we play Derby on Friday morning over in Pinatar. But today we have some transfer news to talk about, and Stockport County brought in a striker, Michael Mellon, of course, we know, on loan from Burnley until the end of the season. We know, of course, he spent the first part of last season on loan at Morecambe in League Two. He actually scored a goal against us back in December at the Mazuma Stadium. So we know that he's a threat. We know a little bit more about this player because he's a player we've actually come up against last season as well. And as I say, did get that goal against us I think we might have lost that game actually. I can't remember, to be honest, off the top of my head. I just know that day the weather wasn't particularly brilliant. I wasn't there, but I heard from people who were. It was just absolutely shocking that day in December, away at Morecambe. So Michael Mellon comes in on loan till the end of the season from Burnley. I think it's an interesting move. This is what Stockport County have had to say on the matter. Just finding it here. They're saying summer signing number 10, so I think he's going to wear number 10 shirt. We're delighted to announce the addition of striker Michael Mellon, who joins us on a season on loan from Burnley. Welcome to County, Michael. And on the Stockport County website, their headline is "Striker Search Bears Fruit as Mellon Signs." Very cleverly done there from Stockport County. And obviously they're very happy to announce that he has signed on loan from Burnley. Of course, had just been relegated from the Premier League to the Championship. Some people may well feel he could have done a job for them in the Championship, given the fact that he had a decent season last season. Certainly, first half of the season on loan at Morecambe. Some people may well feel he could have done a job for Burnley in the Championship, but obviously Burnley feel that they want to loan him out, and Stockport County is the place he and Burnley have chosen is the right place for him to go to. So very interesting on that front. The forward enjoyed a prolific loan spell at Morecambe last season, hitting 15 goals in just 27 appearances in the first half of the campaign, including the goal against County at the Mazuma Stadium in December. We just spoke about that. The 20-year-old Scotland youth international was then recalled by his parent club in January before being sent to Dundee in the Scottish Premiership. He had an instant impact during his time north of the border, scoring one and setting up another two after coming off the bench for his debut against Livingston. Michael, son of Oldham Athletic manager Mickey, began his career at Manchester United's academy before making the move to Burnley as an under-16 in 2019. I think it's quite interesting that we've sealed this deal with Michael Mellon when his dad, Mickey, of course, is the manager of Oldham. We've sealed this deal in the same week that we've just faced Oldham in a pre-season friendly. Whether or not there's anything in that, or it's just pure coincidence, I'm not too sure. But maybe some of those conversations took place with his dad maybe after the game on Saturday. Maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it, to be honest. It sounds like I probably am reading a little bit too much into it there, to be fair. But just thought it was an interesting observation that I picked up on. An actual goal scorer, he continued to find the back of the net on a regular basis at youth level, earned them call-ups to Scotland's under-17s, under-21s, so it looks like he's going to be a Scotland international, you'd think. Despite being born in Blackpool, I'm pretty sure, that's according to his Wikipedia page. Anyway, since signing on loan, Michael has now flown out to Pinatar to join the rest of the first team for our pre-season training camp and will be available for Friday's pre-season friendly against Derby County. So anyone who's going to make that trip to Pinatar over the next few days, you may well get to see Michael Mellon play for the first time for Stockport County. We know that pre-season's been a little bit of a mixed bag at the moment. Obviously, the 3-2 win over Chester, but we were 3-0 up at one point. The disappointing, quite flat performance on Saturday against Oldham, where I think they scored within the first 20-30 seconds, it felt like, and not a lot really happened. As I say, I did go to the game. I did have the intention of doing a vlog for it, but there wasn't any highlights really to pick from. I feel sorry for the Stockport County media team who had to pick apart a highlights package for that game, which I think was about 4 minutes long. I think they've done a very good job to find 4 minutes of highlights from that game, to be fair, because whilst Oldham did get the goal early on, both teams didn't really have too much going on in the game other than that. And like I say, it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't a brilliant game to watch, but look, that's pre-season. I'm not going to complain too much. It is all about fitness at this point in pre-season. I always think once you get near the end of the pre-season, that's when you start to get concerned if the performances don't start to click. But at the moment, two or three games in, it's all about fitness, and I'm sure we'll have a good workout against Derby County on Friday as well. In pre-season, particularly this first early stage pre-season, where it is, as I say, about getting the fitness up, you want to be doing a lot of running. You want to be trying to get the ball as much as possible. You want to get as much running as possible, because that's where you're going to test yourself fitness-wise. So I think it's actually a positive that we've had the run around a little bit early on, and I'm sure we'll have the run around against a championship side in Derby County on Friday as well, which is to say, if you are making the trip, I hope it will be a good one, and I'm sure it will be a stark contrast in terms of weather. Obviously, we've not really had a summer in England, this summer, and I'm sure if you are going, I think you're going to feel the temperature difference straight away as soon as you get off the plane. You do usually, but certainly, this year, because it's just been non-existent this summer over in England. We're just going to get into the comments from Challoner as well on this. He talks about that Michael had a fantastic 23-24 season in terms of his goal return, and it's naturally attracted plenty of interest from clubs this summer. For him to choose us as his destination for the coming season is a great coup for us. He's a finisher and scorer of all types of goals, and given the service, we think he'll have a big impact on League One this season. It's great that he's over here in Spain with us to allow him to integrate with the group and allow us to assess where he's at physically, but also hopefully all of our travelling supporters will be rewarded by seeing him in a county shirt for the first time. I think it's quite likely he'll make an appearance on Friday, I have to say. We're all really looking forward to working with Michael and think he'll be a real favourite with you, the fans. I think it's a really interesting move. It's not one I saw coming, to be honest. I know that I think quite a few of us probably had the conversation back in January, maybe even in December when he scored a goal against us, about maybe trying to do a deal with Mellon to try and bring him in on loan for the second half of last season. I think some people within the county fan base were quite keen to maybe try and make a deal happen for that second half of the season. Obviously, it didn't come to fruition. He did get recalled, but obviously went sort of north of the border. So I think it's an interesting move. I think it's a move that I think a lot of county fans will be happy about. But I think this move, like I say, it has a lot of interesting conversations that come with it. I mean, one, obviously, it's a player that we know has scored goals in League Two consistently. Whether or not he can make that step up to League One, I think he made eight appearances in League One with Morecambe the season before last, and he was goalless in those 8 games. So is it a case of he's not capable of scoring in League One, but he's very capable in League Two? Is it that maybe that Morecambe side was on the verge of relegation, therefore the chances being created for him wasn't having enough chances created for him? I'm not too sure. I think really County should be a team that should be able to create more than enough opportunities, and I think if he gets himself in the right opportunities, I'm sure he will be a very good player for us. I think he will be a player that can find the back of net. But as I say, just to raise a little bit of concern, the fact he did have 8 appearances and failed to hit the back of net, is that a concern? I'm not too sure. I suppose I'm always looking for reason to be sceptical. As I don't want to be seen to be overly positive, but I do think it's an interesting sign. I do think it's a player, as I say, 13 goals in 22 appearances in League Two last season. I think if that's right off the top of my head, I think it is going to be a player that can find the back of net. Does that mean our business is done? Pretty much. I don't think it is. I think we still need probably a backup, or certainly cover for the right back position. We know that obviously Noyle's going to have that number 1 spot pretty much held down, but Southern Males is going to be out injured for a little bit still. Do we need cover in the right back position? I think so. Left back cover Fib Altorre, I think we certainly need that cover in that position. Also cover for left centre half position for Ethan Pye as well. So I think there's still 3 or 4 players in the defensive areas, possibly another midfielder, and I still think we need another striker as well, because last season, don't forget, we've lost Paddy Madden and Louis Barry from our attacking options of last season. So bringing in Michael Mellon's a brilliant move, but I still think we need another striker, and I think, is that potentially going to be Louis Barry? I'm not too sure. That's the next question I was going to have as well. Are we going to bring in any more attackers now that Michael Mellon has come into the building? I still think, like I say, we still need another striker. I've been saying all summer, I still think County need 2 strikers to come in. So Michael Mellon's one, but I still think we need another. And I suppose, does that end the conversation of Louis Barry coming in? I think that this deal is probably fairly similar to the Louis Barry deal that we did last summer. I think it's a young up and coming striker that has talent, whether or not you could have him coming on loan and Lou Barry coming on loan, I'm not too sure if that would be something that County would look to do. So potentially this deal could be instead of Louis Barry. I want to get your thoughts on that, and how would you feel if that was the case? And to be honest, with Louis Barry now, we're getting into the point where we are pretty much a few weeks away really from the League One season starting. The fact that we've not really heard too much on that deal. Is it going to happen? I mean, for me, if it is going to happen, I do think it will happen once the season started. That's just my thoughts on it. I think that it's quite likely he'll probably start pre-season with Aston Villa. They'll want to have a bit of a look at him, see whether or not they feel he can offer anything to the first team squad, which I think is unlikely. But I think they might also then want to assess whether or not they want to loan him out to a higher level, possibly the Championship. And then I think once they made their mind up, which probably will be near the beginning of the Premier League season for Aston Villa, then I think we'll have a little bit more of a bit more of an update on whether or not he'll come to Stockport County. What I would say is I think County are in a good position if we're still interested in making that loan deal happen, if Villa are still interested in potentially putting him out on loan this season, because I think obviously he had a brilliant time at Stockport County, and I do think we'd be right up there if he was available for loan again. So that's just my thoughts on, of course, the signing of Michael Mellon on loan until the end of the season from Burnley. It kind of came a little bit out of the blue for me. I was surprised that they've announced this deal whilst they're away in Pinatar. I'm excited to see him. Obviously, I won't be there for Pinatar on Friday, but I'm excited to see him as soon as possible. And I'm sure this is a player that can help contribute to scoring goals for us. I'd love him to be a Louis Barry type player who can come and have that kind of an impact, and hopefully, obviously, just not follow in the footsteps of having that injury, which of course Louis Barry did. But if we can have an impact anywhere near that Louis Barry did from Michael Mellon, and I think as Challoner said, he will be a real fan favourite very early on, and I think he is a player that could probably score goals. I think he can make the adaptation from scoring goals in League Two to trying to get that into League One. I'm sure he can do that, and as I say, 20 years of age, it's a good age to come in as well. He's still got a lot to learn, but I'm excited for this sign. I think it's an interesting one, and like I say, I do still think we need another striker. I'm interested to see what type of profile of striker we'll bring in now that Michael Mellon's come in. Does that mean we go for a more older, experienced type striker? Or do we potentially still go down that Louis Barry route and maybe have two young strikers coming on loan? I want to get your thoughts on that, but more importantly, I want to get your thoughts on Michael Mellon. How surprised were you to learn the news that Michael Mellon was going to come in on loan till the end of the season at Stockport County? How surprised are you that we managed to bring in a striker? How surprised are you? And do you think our business is done here in the attacking department? I want to get your thoughts on that. But of course, as well, do you think Michael Mellon will be a success? And do you think he can recreate the kind of impact that Louis Barry had on loan last season? I want to get all your thoughts in the comments section below. Of course, don't forget to like the video, subscribe as always. It always helps as well. We're about just under 200 away from 1,000. If we get to 1,000, it'd be absolutely brilliant. So as I say, if you're not subscribed and you watch the channel regularly, do make sure to subscribe. It does help. But as always, thanks for watching.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.